Hello and welcome to jobskillshare.org. Today I'm making a little different video than my usual videos. This is going to be a one full lab of exactly the same video that I created on YouTube. It's called Connect Cisco Router to Home Router. Basically, when you have a Cisco router, how do you basically connect that to your home Comcast routers and get connections, and after that you can set up the whole lab like switches and everything right after that. So you can do that because you want to get that internet connection to make it more realistic. So that will be the video because I showed you like a hands-on. Now in this video I'm not going to show you hands-on, but I am going to actually do it on the screen. So it's exactly the same lab, but I'm going to do a little bit more in it. So at least let's see if people can get something out of it. This is an educational lab, so there's going to be talking, there's going to be explaining things, so please bear with me. So what is our goal in this lab? We have one office and we want to achieve, let's say for example you want to learn something as a business network. This is not going to be a full blown business network where you have to do a lot of research and everything. We're not doing that. We're just basically configuring some of the things that usually people use in a network, in the business area. So you have an ISP that gives you a connection. Then after that you have, let's say in our lab we have a firewall. Okay, so this firewall is like right here. Let's call this a firewall. So I'm just gonna call it F. So this has this one interface that is, let's say, going outside to internet, getting connection. Then we have another interface, and here this interface is set up as a DHCP interface. So we told this firewall, this interface need to give IP address anybody that gets connected to you. So we're basically saying, okay, now we need another thing, router. So we haven't done much into firewall. It's just there, we just bought it, put it there, and just two things. Got one connection so we can get internet. Got another connection, so that's a local connection. Everything will go under this area. This will be monitored, and then we're telling it that anybody get connected to you, then basically give it IP address. So right now we are connected one interface of the router that gets an IP address from here, and then another interface is going to be the inside of the router. So we're telling this, let's say for example this is a 0/0 interface on the router, it gets an IP address from here. Then we have another interface which is 0/1. Then we're telling this that you connect to the switch. Okay, you connect to the switch. And here's the thing, both of these are not configured yet, both are fresh. So we're only going to configure this guy. In this lab we're not configuring switch at all. We just connect it to one of the ports that we have available right here. So let's say this is a port. We just connect this port to what? To one of the PC that I'm going to show you everything. So this PC right here is set up with two network cards, one network card here and one network card here. So this port is connected directly to this port, this network, and it's not working right now. Now I have another router, it has a different connection. That's a different connection. This is a different connection. So this connection is coming all the way down to this network card. So this has a connection. This machine has a connection right now that I will be able to log in and do everything. Why? Because the two serial cables are connected directly to switch and connected directly to the router through console cable. Okay? So if you don't understand all these console cable stuff like that, then maybe this lab is a little too advanced for you. You need to really look for console cable, serial. So how to connect this stuff, I have showed that in my other video. Remember that video that I just showed you? I did this physically and showed everybody. So make sure you watch that video if you don't understand what I'm talking about. But our goal is what? Our goal is that I have connection here on the left side, but because I can get into this machine through internet. And then I want to configure this second network card so I can get connections, everything from here, to test everything, to learn everything as a network person, sysadmin, help desk, whatever you want to call yourself. This is a whole network, so you can be focusing in many areas right here. But here what will happen is that we will disconnect this later on, because I want to show you that once this is done I will be able to log into this machine without any problem. So let's go ahead and do it practically. So I'm using this tool called MOBA extern. when you click on session, you see you have different, and I have this video too on my YouTube. Just type job skills share and type MOBA term with it. You will see this video. So right now you can see that if I want to connect to the switches, I'm using the serial. So it's like a cable connected to your computer on the back, and then you have a blue port that is connected to the switch and router both together. So you have one COM here, COM1, which is my, let's double click on it, maybe this one right here. So I have COM1 right here. If I click on it and show it to you guys, let me put this down right here. So right now you see this is a initial configuration, initial setup for switches and routers. As you can see, there's nothing done in this right here. So if I click no, I don't want to configure this, this will tell you that it's not configured because there's no password, nothing in there. So it will do its thing right here. So this is a router, so here you go. You see it's not configured, no password, nothing. If I do the same thing with the switch, I'm going to get the same result. But like I said, we're not doing anything with the switch right now. So all what we are doing right now, we're configuring that router to get connection. But before I do that, I want to show you practically that this is the Ethernet that I'm getting connection from a different connection. This is my non-IT related, internet connection from a, like basically basic router like Comcast, directly connected here. So that's why I'm remoting in to this machine. As you can see, I'm using a remote tool, which I'm basically remoted in. If I disconnected, meaning I'm done, I cannot get to this machine. If this was in some other country, I would be done right now. But if this is a network card, so both are together. This and this is together because it's using a Hyper-V virtual network. So that's why it has that. So now these are the two things we're interested right now. This is already configured. So if I do status, you see it's giving me an IP address from my local machine. So right now if I click here, IP config. So right now this is the one right here, 192.168.1.238. How did I find this IP address? If you're new, IP config. This is where you find IP config. When you do that, you get the IP address of the machine. Okay, and that's why I'm getting internet connection. Here, if I come here and if I do status, you see I have an address that is not an IP address. Basically, this is kind of like a computer will get an IP address like this if it doesn't have internet connection. It has to get something. So this is a non class IP address, which you cannot use it for internet connection. But it does have, it's basically doing nothing right now. So we are going to configure it so we can get the same IP address like this one, and we're going to disable this and then make sure we get connection back to this computer. That is going to be our goal in this video, and then later on I'll show you more things in there. So the first thing is router. As you can see, like I said, I this time made a copy of our config. So I will share this on description because a lot of people complain that sometimes it doesn't work for them. So the first thing I did is enable. When you go into router, you click on EN to get into more config mode. So now I'm going to go to the config mode after this. So let's see, in our documentation, do we have a config T? Yes, we have config T. So I'm going to do config T. In some of it, I'm typing, some of it I'm just copying pasting it right now. Then we have int 0.0 0/0. This is the one that, remember, we wanted to configure this. So let's see why this didn't happen. Because config T, we're in there. I'm going to do G0. Okay. So int G 0/0. So I'm telling the 0.0 to do what? To basically open up. It's sleeping right now. It's done. It's down. We're going to make it no shut, meaning wake up. Wake up G0/0 and get, basically right now it's up. It's not doing anything. The connection is connected, but there's no IP addresses or anything right now. Even though we told the firewall to give this, anybody that connects to this port, give it an IP address, but still it needs to go out there and grab an IP address. So what are we going to do? We're going to say IP address DHCP. So we're not assigning it. We're just saying go get an IP address. Go get an IP address from that firewall that, it's connected to me. So right now it's going to go out there. It's going to say, okay, I'm looking for an IP address. Bam, there you go. The firewall was set up with 172.16.16.18. This, sorry, 116.16. That's the firewall address. Here, this firewall is now saying that, okay, I'm a DHCP guy. I still have this ability. I'm gonna give you this address. So it gave us this 18 address for this router. So now what we're gonna do? We're gonna go in there. That 0/0 interface on the router, not the whole router. So what we're gonna do right now? This is our network that is getting internet connection overall. That's where I'm getting a connection. Can I go through it and just do a ping to that router? Can I do it? I'm gonna say yes, because it says success right there. Where are you getting this IP address from? If you're doing this at home, this is your normal router, Comcast router. So if you do ipconfig/all, you should see it on the bottom that it should say default gateway, and that should give you this address. So if you have something different, then you're going to be using that. Then what do? Let's do a ping outside this, because that's our router, right? Can we ping something more outside, which is Google DNS? And it says yes, we can do that. Okay, so that's good to go. Now we need to configure that internal interface on that router, right? Because we just configured one interface, which is 0/0 to get internet connection. Just like if you don't have a firewall, you would do the same thing on this interface by just getting directly connecting that port to your one of your router ports, and you will get the connection from it if you didn't have a firewall. But we do have a firewall, so that's why we're going through this stuff. So now what we're gonna do is int, and we're going to first, do we need to exit? First, check documentation right here. It says no exit is required, so I'm gonna do G0/1. Good. And now what we do? We need to give it the IP range right here. So what we're doing right now is basically we're telling this 0/1 to assigning this IP range in there, 192.168.2.1. I can put 3.1, I can put 4.1. This would be the network addresses right there. So if I put, like, let's say 4.1, all of the machines will get 4.2, 4.5, 4.6. If I put 192.168.6.1, so that 192.168.6 is your network address, and the rest is the host addresses. So 6 will not change, the rest will change. Here in this case, 2 will not change. Anything when that switch gets connected, they were gonna get 2.1.2 till 254. Got it? So those are the addresses it's gonna get. And what we're gonna do is no shutdown from here. And when you hit the tab button, that should give you the full command right there if everything is good. So right now that also got up, no problem, right? It got up, it says okay, I'm good to go, and I'm gonna exit from here. Now the rest is a little too advanced for you guys. Don't really think too much. But listen, here's the thing. I also told you guys that while I'm doing things, who is doing this stuff? This is going to be your network engineer, and my videos are always mostly targeted towards entry-level professionals. So if you're an entry-level guy or girl or woman, you're watching this video, this is the stuff that a network engineer do. NOC 1, level 1, level 2, network engineer, Cisco guy, CCNA, these kind of people, when they go to job, these are the titles they look for, and they work on this type of stuff: routing, switching, securing routers, connecting one router from one building to another building, connecting one floor to another floor. Router went down, getting all these config files. Everything is command line like this, but there are all other, of course, advanced stuff. This is just basic, just to give you a taste of it, what network engineers are doing. So the rest is kind of like more advanced for you. Right now, what we're doing right now is that we're telling this router 2 that anybody gets connected to you through that switch, give it an IP address. So we're making this router a DHCP. So after that, when you enter, then we can go back in there, and we're gonna give it a network address, which we already talked about on the top right here, the IP addresses. So same thing, we're just defining it now. And when you do that, after that, what is going to be the default router address? That is going to be 2.1. So just like our our normal router Comcast and everybody have 1.1 address here, you don't want to give it 1.1 again to this same router because there's going to be conflict then. So that's why we want to give it 2.1, so then there's no conflict with this router, right? And then we want to give one DNS server just so it's an external DNS. It's also not conflicting with our... You can actually use your own DNS, but that's just going to be a little confusing then. That's why I want to change this DNS to a different DNS that will work. So then after that, you do exit. So right now, we are configured with that. Now the rest is kind of like routing. You know, for you to get connection, you need to basically go back to your normal router, which is at your home or office or the main router. It needs to go out there and kind of like, you know, talk to it and do things. And it'll say, okay, which interface do you want to go outside by using which interface? You want to use the 00. Here we're defining that. Now, this is where I say that you don't need to worry too much, because if you are really interested in this stuff, then you need to take the CCNA labs that we have in our practice lab, which is a 1-year access, and those are real stuff right there. 40 hours of content just labbing and learning all this stuff. Like I said, then you want to become a network engineer, okay? So right now we're basically defining NAT outside, and we're going to exit, and then we're going to do IP NAT inside. We're basically defining the traffic here. These traffic comes, if I want to go to Google, then it needs to go out through these different interfaces by using this NAT outside and NAT inside, and then it has to have its own access list, which is, like I said, this is going to get more complicated if I put more time in this. So here we have defined that. Now we need to define the last one, and like I said, I'm going to share this list with you guys, so then you guys can actually practice it without putting too much stress on your head that what is this, what is that. For now, just if you're a help desk person, you want to learn the entry level stuff, just copy paste these things and get the connection, and later try to figure things out inside, because connections are going through nicely. Then that will be easy for you, rather than you try to understand every single thing in the first place and then do it. It gets stressful. So the last thing, we're going to copy paste the access list. You need to have this for it to work. We're going to permit any, meaning any traffic. And when you put like any type of things in the firewall, this means you're just allowing everything. Later on, just keep shutting down step by step so you can learn more. So right now we're basically done with everything. Here we're just gonna give it the last command, and we're gonna copy paste this. And I showed this, by the way, in my YouTube video, just a reminder for people who want to see a little bit more hands-on, but this is exactly the same thing that I'm doing. I'm just not showing the routers here. So we're done over here. We're done with the full router configuration. I don't know why I did this. I'm done with the whole configuration here, okay? So if I come here, look at this. While we were doing that, because when you have a network connected, a cable connected, it always look for connection, right? When you figure something, okay, now it goes out. Every time it goes out, say, okay, do I have a connection? Do I have a good connection? And now when the router started working, all the connections started to work. If I right click here and I go to status and go to its details, look what happened. It got the IP address automatically. Remember, I did not set up the switch. I did not set this guy up. If I show it to you guys, I did not set up this guy. But this started working because we defined our DHCP rule here, and this automatically, the first port, I just connected to the first port and it started to get IP addresses. I can even plug in another machine right there and it's going to get .2 address, .3 address, .4, .5 till 254. This is how you get IP addresses through DHCP. I hope people who have taken this training with me, the live training, they should watch this video, and I'm sure you're kind of like, okay, that makes sense now. So now, what happened? What did we do here? We basically did this. Let's just remove all this. If I am working on this machine, another thing you should learn is, usually when you're working in a company or as an IT professional, you should always think about critical systems and how can you do 2 backups. Like right now, if this machine is my critical system, right? This is a very important system right here. So I have 2 network cards connected. One is from one connection and one is from another connection. Now, usually in the companies, this is how exactly things works too. They may have a router and this router may have two ISP connection coming to it. Okay, so if one goes down, another one will take over. They will have two routers. So if one goes down, if whole router goes down, another will take over. In this case, our scenario is this, that if my one network connection, which is right here that I'm connected to, and this is a new one that I just did it through the office network. This is a whole office network requirement because router, switch, everything is in there. If, for example, let's say I disable this, what will happen? If I disable it now, by clicking on it, I'm done. I disabled it. And right now, you see I'm clicking on things. I got disabled. I got basically disconnected. So automatically, if you have some mechanism that is, let's say, for example, the remote connection that I'm using on this machines, it actually looks for connections. It looks for live connections. Hey, I can't get connection right now. What do I do? Okay, let me try again. Let me try to connect you again. And it will try it after a few seconds. It's going to go back in there. I'm going to try again. I'm going to try again. I'm going to try again. But right now, it's like the image is stuck here. But right now, you see, it got disconnected. It got disconnected. It's connected back again. Right now, it's looking for connection. Okay, I'm looking for connection. Where is it? And it's going to keep doing it till that second connection takes over that machine, because it takes a little time for machines to move between connections. So maybe this could be also another issue that you may face, that sometimes if servers have issues or some routers have issues, if people were doing something in the middle of this time, they may lose data. If they were using like say some kind of form or something like that, and that required an active connection, then they may lose that data, and then they may have to start again. But depending on application, some applications save data. So this is one of the scenarios that you may face when you become a network engineer or a sysadmin. You work with load balancers, and one load balancer is not working, another one just takes over. That's a different connection, different IP address, and people start complaining about things. Maybe at that moment they lost something. So right now it's still doing connection. It's looking for connection. Like, okay, I need to find something. So right now I'm waiting for it to go out there and then get connected. So it may take a second right now. I will just keep waiting for it. And this is what I wanted to show you in this lab. First, I wanted to just kind of like show you how you do this connection thing. If you can just copy the whole commands, you can actually do this with your router if you have it in your home. If you don't have it, then you can use our practice lab. And in practice lab, you don't have to do this type of stuff. This is our practice lab is already like routers are given to you with scenarios. Let's say you're a network engineer. You want to connect switch 1 to switch 2. Then you use these commands and this command and that command. That's how you do it in the practice lab. So what I'm going to do right now is that there's two ways. One, it's automatically looking for that connection. So that's one way to kind of check if it's working or not. So at this point, I basically checked the computer that is it really working. Sometimes when you have two different connections, one gets turned off. Like I said, computer may take time, and there you go, it came up again. But let's say, for example, in your case, this got disabled and it's not coming up, and it's still saying unidentified network. So if I click on it and go to status details, you see everything is good. You should check this IP address first and look at the default gateway. Did you put this correctly? Because if you put something wrong here, let's say 1 or 1 here, then it will not work, because you're going to have a conflict then. And that's where you will probably see that unidentified network issue. So as you can see right now, I'm on a second network. I disabled both. Of course, I went to the server and try to make sure that these two are disabled. And then I wanted to make sure that this also comes with a network. And I saw it, and I reconnected it again. And you can see I just got back up again. If I enable this guy again right now, you see got enabled. I'm going to enable this one too. So now my computer have two valid IP addresses. That's live right now. So if I disconnect this one more time, you will see that now my connection was made on this connection. So it will disconnect me. As you can see, that's what I was talking about, that you will lose that current connection, whether you're working on an application or some type of forms or whatever it is. You're just going to lose that. And then if it's a good enough application, is good enough to connect you back, then great. If not, then you'll lose all the data. So right now it's seeing you. It's basically kind of like looking for connection again. Say, okay, I lost everything. I need to connect back again, and it's going to do that part by disconnecting, connecting back again. So it's saying right here, connecting to remote host, and we'll wait for that again. There you go. It came back up again. I'm gonna re-enable it just to show you this is getting IP address right now. It's going out there to the switch. Do you have an IP address for me? Switch is saying, yep, I do have a lot of IP addresses. Don't worry, I'm giving it to you right now. Just wait. Be patient. Be patient. Don't get mad. Don't get mad. And then it's going to give you an IP address in a second, okay? While that's doing that, let's just check IP address for this one. Status. Actually, why did I check this one? It's this one. Because it's connected to virtual. So that's, you see right there. This is the normal gateway that we have, the normal connection that we're getting from a router. And now this one went from the switch and getting that IP address. So this is what a network engineer would do. And after that, you have a switch connected to your devices. And then you have, let's say, server administrators who are going to be working on servers like this. They will have Active Directory here. Different type of applications, file servers, DNS, DHCP, Hyper-V, applications, specifically third-party applications installed on these servers, logs, services, everything, and big one, IIS web servers. All of this stuff is done by a sysadmin, and usually you work on all of that stuff, like services of that specific application that you installed on the server, or it could be Active Directory that you installed on the server, domain controller, Azure services these days. You have a connectors these days. Anything you do in Active Directory gets migrated over to or gets updated to the cloud. All that kind of stuff you do it on the server side. Server sysadmin and network engineers, of course, way more than this stuff, and that's something we have labs for it, practice labs, a lot of details in advanced labs. Then after this, you have desktop stuff. Those ports are connected to some desktops out there. And that's where a help desk is learning all of the skills like software deployment, working on Microsoft Office type of application, Excel application, emails, web browser. That's all user end right there. And that's where you work on it. That's where we train you basically. But we show you this whole image, this lab, just so you have a clarity that there's another piece to it too. What about the security guys? So you have a security guys like this. What they have is a firewall. Of course, security is not just about firewall, but they do all other security like router switches securities, desktop security, patch management, all that kind of stuff. It's a mixture. Some companies will have you do all of this stuff little by little, and some companies will specifically hire people just to do one thing. So a security guy will come here and then look into the firewall and say, okay, what kind of policies do we have? These are the policies that are being applied. Okay, there's an issue going on, so somebody can get to the network. So if I click here and I open it, and I want to know what's going on to the network, I can open the logs. I can see exactly what people are doing at this point. Some people are going to get denied. Some people are going to get accepted. Who are these denied people? I can go in there, open it. I can get more information about them. I can open the whole information about this packet if I want to. I can search so many different things in different areas, and this will be a security type of career. But like I said, it's not like if I say it, that doesn't mean that it's going to be like that. So as a other thing that security guys will do is in the firewall, they'll come here and test the link, or you as a help desk, let's say you went to a user desktop and you basically told them that, okay, are you having issue with google.com, and you checked it that everybody else can get to google.com, but only this person can get it. So a security person usually comes here, they have logs that they can check, they have policy testing mechanism where they can come here like this, and they will check, okay, what is the source IP address? Okay, this is the source IP address, it can get in. So I'm just gonna do, which IP did we get with this machine? We get this IP address from that switch. So let's say this guy can get in, so they're gonna put the source IP address here, do the Google test on different policies, because it's not just one policy that running on that whole system. They may have multiple policies. So when we want to test a firewall, let's test the firewall, and everything is accepted here. Let's test the web policy right here. So if I click here, everything will be accepted, allowed right here. You see, they can then pinpoint that this is the policy coming from a default policy. It's using this module, and then they can really dig deep inside and say, okay, this is why this person is getting blocked, because of this reason. You see how IT people works. This is how we work on different type of things, and this is not just it. After this, you can learn more, of course, basic stuff, which we teach you in the live training. We teach you specifically help the skills in the live training. We teach you this stuff just to clear image in your mind, and then after that we go into the help desk, software, ticketing, troubleshooting, remote tools, more of a junior level admin stuff. But of course we're targeting more help desk positions right here. But then later on, because of our skills, you really move into junior admin side very quickly, because you're not just getting stuck in one technician mode, where you're just doing some operating system fixes all the time. You're moving away from that. You're moving a little bit advanced. So this is what we teach you in most of them. I hope you guys get something out of this lab. This is of course not my usual type of labs or videos. I try to make it very clear. This is probably a little more confusing lab at this point, but like I said, if you guys want to take something out of it, then I showed you. But if you really want to do this router kind of thing at your home, this would be a video to watch. And I will share this, Cisco stuff right here in my description, as you guys can watch it and do it on your own lab. Thank you so much. If you like this lab, let me know. Thank you.